Recipes that will take your old man back in time and make new generations food-forward thinkers. Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of Rolene's Rendezvous. Today I rendezvous at Recce Estate in Centurion for Justin Vermaak and Douw Steyn's Recce recipe book launch called The Recce Way. A night dedicated to the tough selection processes these gentlemen had to go through, combined with stories that turned them from boys into men, not to mention actual food prepared from the book. Let's see what the night has in store for us. At tonight's book launch, with the recipes and the stories told, what type of memories does it bring back from the day you served?
I think the last poem that was read says it all. It's just to connect with old soldiers again. But also for those who didn't have the chance to serve, also to give them a little bit of taste of what it was like in the Recce's in the old days.
And what, in your opinion, does it mean to have control over your mind, like mind over matter?
Like Justin said, that's the main thing of the Recce's. We've had big guys, we've had small guys, guys who were athletes at school, super athletes, other guys that were average performers and didn't make the standard 3 choir. But if you could control your mind, you could control your fear, you could be a Recce. Because that's what it's all about. Every situation differs and you go into it not knowing what to expect, and in that spur of the moment you have to decide whether you can do it or not. It's like jumping out of an aircraft door. Nobody is born for it. You stand there and you decide, I'm going to jump. You overcome that fear at that moment, and that's it, to make peace with it. And I think that's what makes anybody top performers, whether they be sportmen, whether they are injured, running the Comrades Marathon with a blister on the foot, still continuing. This is what the Recce is about, to continue in spite of the obstacles ahead of you.
Now, for the younger generation, or millennials as people call them, how would you describe or try and describe to us as a younger generation the bond that you form with other gentlemen that you serve with?
Once again, like they say in the book, we did not choose one another. We are different. As a matter of fact, when you look at the bunch of Recce's and you put them down anywhere, they shouldn't fit. They are misfits. But you get to know the weaknesses and the strengths of everybody else, and then you form a team. And because we are special forces, we're not prescribed to who's in what team. You select later on a team of guys that work together well, and they become a team. And they go forward because they are socially, they are friends when they come back from operations, they're together when they're during operations. And then over time they float apart like now, and 40 years later we still come together and laugh about being beaten by the Sergeant Major in Zimbabwe. So I think that's about it. You do choose the guys that you want to associate with. And because we are similarly minded, the kind of adventure we went for, that's why we clicked together. But we could also fight. And make no mistake that there are differences in the group, but you'll learn to sort it out. Maybe the hard way sometimes with a pair of boxing gloves, but you stay friends because you need one another in the next operation. Then you must set aside your differences and work together.
No, I haven't read through the whole book. I read through some of the
do
recipes.
that?
Yes.
Do you promise?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I have a
I
copy.
do. That's not a marriage proposal.
No, but I promise. What are some of the unexpected, kind of weird recipes that general public can expect?
Ooh. The Umaramba vulture soup. It's an amazing recipe.
What?
Amazing. So that, I think it's fantastic. I think lion food, or the lion's food, it's beautiful. It's something that's in context that you can only get in these circumstances.
Yeah.
Then I think the Russian roadside meal is good.
What?
I think the killer meal with Savimbi marching pots, amazing.
Yeah.
To walk through the bush and people disappear and you come back with all these weird... There's probably 20 pages that puts it in context, and that's why we did it. It's like all these amazing recipes interspersed with the normal dining and all the other things. So, and I think that's what the recipes are all about. It's about being in the moment, staying in the moment, not losing focus, adapting to it and make do with what you got. That's what Recce is all about.
Are there some of the recipes that are only for survival, or would you say it can be used at home or even for fine dining from the book?
The book is about specialized cooking. Specialized cooking is about creating an occasion. I can assure you, if I ask you what's the best meal you ever had, you will not know the ingredients, but you'll know the place and the people.
Yes.
So the recipe book is all about the moment,
Okay, wow.
creating that occasion, because that's what stays.
If you can choose 4 people, literally anyone in the world, living or dead, who would you want to cook for from this book?
About 15 years ago, I decided when I retire, I'm going to take people through Africa to show them the Africa that I learned to love.
Yes.
And I sort of figured if I take high net worth individuals that want to make the world a better place, I would like to spend time with them. So the first guy in that question would probably be Bill Gates.
Oh, wow, yes.
Bill does such an amazing job at fighting malaria in Africa, and he spends so much money, $300 million a year on fighting malaria. If I can show him the Africa that I learned and that I love, he'd probably be the first guy. I'd want to cook it for him in the Kalahari.
Yeah.
It's such a special place because there the people get by with nothing, but they still smile readily.
Yeah.
Beautiful people. Probably number 1. I would have loved to have had a meal with Nelson Mandela.
Oh, yes.
I think what he's done for South Africa is amazing. The rest of the guys have probably had enough opportunity to have dined with presidents before.
Yes.
I think those are probably the 2 guys I think that stand out.
You mentioned a story about Disprints. I want to ask you, how do you feel about Disprints today after it being your favorite snack or taste during selection?
Yeah, maybe just the context again. I sneaked the Disprints in, and by the time I got to them, they were really special, the taste. It's interesting. Whenever I take a Disprint, my memory goes back to the taste, and I would then often, just for the fun, take a Disprint and put it in my mouth and suck it, and it's like in the memory lane. It's maybe another way of another demonstration of gratitude of a time when there was not a lot of food. The Disprint actually was very special then. So I acknowledge the taste, I acknowledge the moment when I had it. In that specific phase, we were 5 days, I was 5 days on my own, and you don't see other people. So all you have is this moment with the Disprint. So yeah, it's very special.
You obviously went through a lot of tough selection processes. What is the one thing that comes to mind when someone tells you mind over matter, or you have to control your mind?
I think the ultimate question would be, is this me? Is this who I am eventually? I mean, a lot of the in-between things that you do, where you learn about yourself and you learn to cope and you learn to, to survive, but it's not easy. During the journey or during the process, you get to a point where you realize, this is me. This is who I am. And I want to put on this jacket. I know intuitively if I put on this jacket, nobody's going to take it away from me. So that for me would be the defining moment of selection. This is me. I'm okay with it. This is what I want to do with my life. And I think in there embedded is the whole concept of professionalism. What does it mean to be a professional soldier? What does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be top of class? That kind of thing.
With the book launch tonight, what do you think it'll mean to civilian, random people in general public with the recipes and the stories that's been shared with everyone?
Well, I hope that firstly it will be a fun kind of experience. People just enjoy or laugh at some of the stories and see the humor in it. And I think that is, for me, maybe number 1. Why? Because we live in a time and in times, and people are under stress. They're very much sometimes worried about things, the future. Where am I going with my life? 10 other things. And here's a book that has got a nice balance between humor and then the real world of what it means to be special or what it means to be, that top of class thing. So for me, it's the humor. And then some appreciation of, on the inside of stories that otherwise most probably never would have been told. I mean, people don't tell these stories wandering around, and here's a fun way of doing it. So that's maybe it.
You are the SASFA newly elected chairperson. Can you tell us more about the 4 different categories in which it operates?
SASFA is one of the entities within the Recce Group. The Recce Group describing all 4 entities as one organization, which is the Special Forces Association. And the aim of SASFA is to connect, to create communication and to care for its members. Most importantly, maybe the caring for the members. The second entity within the group is the Special Forces Heritage Foundation, which is our asset house. It enables to us to look after our heritage, which include fixed assets, property that we have obtained, as well as intellectual property that belongs to our group. The third entity is Recce Incorporated, which is the commercial and trading company within the Recce Group that is mandated to generate funds and to provide funds for the Special Forces Association as well as for the Heritage Foundation to enable their activities. And then the fourth entity is our father organization, which is the Recce Heritage Trust. And the trust is then mandated or is the shareholder in Recce Incorporated as well as in the Heritage Foundation, because by law we must have a shareholder at least in the commercial activity company.
I'm sure you've read some of the recipes in Mr. Justin Vermaak's book and Douw Steyn's book. Are there some of the recipes in the book that bring back specific memories to you?
All of us had different experiences during survival, know your enemy and dark phase, selection, minor tactics. Some of the references in the book and the recipes, having meals to eat that come directly from the bush. Whatever lives and is available, that becomes breakfast, lunch or dinner, whether it be a baboon or a snake, rats, anything that moves. If it crawls, it's edible. If it moves, it's edible. Baboon and civet cat was one of my specialities which we had. Making soup of that, of what's left over. So yes, soup where you can increase the volume of your meal just by adding water, definitely.
SASFA is already a very successful association and you have a widespread network that I've heard of from people. But if there are maybe some military veterans who are not yet part of the association and watch this video, how can they get connected?
I would like to call on all former Special Forces members who served in the units. That's been either operators or support personnel or civilians, to contact the Special Forces Association and apply for membership. There's not much categories that you have to adhere to or qualifications. Is merely proof that you have been in Special Forces. But apart from that, as an organization, we're also playing a vital role in bringing other military veterans together, whether it is other specialist units or normal units, and making military veterans a subject that belongs to everybody, not only to Special Forces or not only to the Air Force or whatever. All military veterans, whether he was a driver or a cook or an operator or an officer or a technician, doesn't matter. Everybody played their part, everybody did their bit. So it's necessary to stand together and make sure that what you worked for many years ago still matters.
There aren't many guarantees in life, but I can guarantee you that these Recce recipes don't only taste great, but with the tongue-in-cheek manner it is written, they are so easy to make. Now, not to give you any ideas, but if you visit the website below, you will be able to get your own copy of the book. And I mean, Christmas is just around the corner for your dad, granddad, uncle, brother, or son. I want to give a special thanks to Recce Incorporated for tonight's opportunity and to you guys for joining me on this episode. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram for future entertainment. Have a great day and see you on the next one.
One men who have been to war yearn to unite. I know one men who have been to war yearn to unite. It's not merely to tell stories or look at old pictures, nor is it to weep or laugh. Comrades gather because they long to be with the people who they once suffered and sacrificed with. Together they pushed themselves to the limits of mental and physical ability. Together they were stripped to their core. I did not pick these men. They were delivered to me by fate and war. But I know them in a way I know no other men. I've never trusted anyone as much. They were willing to guard something more precious than my life. They would have protected my reputation and the memory of me. It was part of the bargain we all made. The reason we were all willing to die for one another. As long as I still have memory, I will think of them. I will think of them all every day. I'm sure that when I leave this world, my last thoughts will be of my family and of my comrades. Such good men.
Operator's Creed. As the Compass Rose depicts, I am willing and prepared to be deployed in any direction, anywhere in the world, under any circumstances, day or night. Even if I am called upon to perform tasks in isolation or in extreme conditions, I am willing to pay the ultimate price, will conquer my fears, and will succeed with the guidance of my compass, the Word of God. My word is my honor, my duty to serve, and my pride is the laurel dagger. I will not bring shame upon myself or those with whom I serve. I will not fail Special Forces, nor my comrades.